The mind challenge? Are you kidding me? That's why I joke around, so I don't have to deal with the mind.
Sixth
wonders
of the
world.
And keep them off.
Okay, well, this has been a heck of a week. I've been really sick, and I'm getting better. Got some medicine, had to go to the doctor, all that good stuff. But we're here about the mental stuff, and, well, I deal with the mental stuff by making jokes and not dealing with it. Well, I guess if you're going to understand me, you're going to have to understand a little bit about my history. So, here it goes. The first time I ever really remember overeating was at my father's funeral. I was 9 years and 1 month old. My father passed away from a heart attack in the bathroom. My dad made breakfast for all of us, and I woke up late, and he made pancakes, and he said he was just going to go run and take a shower, and when he came out, that he'd make mine. He never came out. Well, we had the funeral, and all the neighbors brought over food, all the cousins and relatives brought over food. And somehow, I ended up just eating to the point that my belly hurt, and I was able to finally fall asleep. And that's the first time I remember overeating. At about 14 years old, my mother remarried. It had been about 5 years since my father's death, and she decided it was best for her and her new husband and myself that the three of us moved down to Florida. Now, my two older sisters were able to stay in New York, and I didn't want to move because I had just become really good friends with everybody I knew on the swim team. Those people meant a lot to me. And when I moved to Florida, I became really depressed and lonely. I didn't know anybody. So what I would do is I would eat. I would binge eat. I'd eat candy whenever I could, or I'd just eat a lot of food. I've actually had some instances where I got in trouble for eating so much. Don't eat that, that's for dinner, So I go to get something else and, don't eat that, that's for dinner. Nothing too severe, but I do remember feeling really lonely. After being married to my wife about 10 years, I really grew close to my in-laws, and my father-in-law was like my dad, since I hadn't had a dad since I was very young. And we did a lot of things together, fishing and building things and just working together on the house. And my mother-in-law was fun. I loved scaring her, jumping out at her, setting up fireworks, pop rocks and things. We had water fights, and really, for years it was great. But then my father-in-law got cancer. And at first I was strong, and I was like, we got this, we'll handle this. And every 2 weeks, he'd lose another major function, such as, first it was his hip hurt, and 2 weeks later he had trouble walking. 2 weeks later he wasn't walking more than a few feet. 2 weeks later he was bedridden. Got him a wheelchair. I built a ramp for him. We helped, but as time went on, of course about 4 to 6 months, every 2 weeks something else would happen. Couldn't get up to use the toilet. Couldn't eat. Needed help getting to chemo. I took off from work. It got bad, and I really got depressed. And he passed, and we grieved, and we kept living. And a year later, we get a phone call that his eldest daughter, who we knew well, passed away. She was close to us too. It was sudden, unexpected. She was fit, had a six-pack abs. She had high blood pressure, had a heart attack, or a vein blew or something. Another year went by and my mother-in-law passed. and losing so many family members so quickly, and 3 family members in basically less than 3 years. Depression hits, and it's hard to move on because, well, first of all, I never liked death. I never wanted to accept death. What I've learned to do to deal with depression, to deal with loneliness, to deal with all these things that make me eat is I try to be good. You know, Boy Scout good. Like, try to change the world. I know it's crazy, but yeah, I do those type of things.
The RepRap Project is a 3-dimensional printer that one day will evolve to print multiple materials, where it can actually print its entire self and roll off an assembly line where it could be handed to a friend. Through its evolution, it'll be able to print things like cell phones or radios right off of your desktop. I believe plug-in hybrid cars will change the world. They use domestic electricity instead of foreign oil to help us be energy independent and nationally secure while polluting much less than a standard vehicle. These cars will change the world.
Another thing I like to do to help me feel better about the world and feel better about myself is I like to do random acts of kindness. Okay? And that in my past has been everything from paying for tolls for the person behind me on the freeway to paying for an elderly couple's meal at a restaurant to building things like park benches and putting them out in a park where there's an old broken down bench and nobody knows where it came from. It's a really fun activity. Well, this week was a bust. I got sick, and for the last 4 days I've been bedridden, literally. And I had to go to the doctor and get medicines, and I haven't been able to do any exercise. And I'm looking forward to hopefully waking up tomorrow with enough energy to actually go for a walk for the first time this week. And I would like to get back on track. I know that sometimes when you get sick these things happen, but it just seems that this has been happening too much since February, and I really want to actually gun it and do really well. I want to get back on the bicycle, back walking, and I'd like to get out to the woods again. So, although this week wasn't bad, and the challenge has been extremely difficult for me, I'm hoping to do better next week. So, that's my update for the week. Thank you very much. Bye. The mind is a very complex thing. You know, the brain is physical. The mind is probably the biggest hurdle we'll ever face. Facing ourselves. I was not looking forward to this challenge. I did not like doing this challenge. And it was probably the most valuable challenge I will do because I've had to put a lot of thought into me and why I am the way I am. And you know what? I'm okay. I'm not perfect, but I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a genius, but I'm not dumb either. I want to lose the weight to be healthy, but I'll be okay.